Welcome to Opium Slayer, Episode 2, Save the Children. Before they broke your mind, they broke your heart. Save the children, they said. Protect the innocent, they cried. But they weren't saving anyone. In fact, they've been weaving the perfect trap for you. They've weaponized the most purest instincts inside us, our desire to protect our most innocent, and they've turned it into a shield to protect their filth. Save the children, a slogan so powerful, you're not allowed questioning anyone behind it, let alone the pedals that are leading it. They didn't just hijack your compassion, they've weaponized it. Save the children became a false light, an ultimate psychological firewall. Criticize the movement, you hate kids. You weren't wrong to care, but you were wrong to trust. Because when you put your blind faith in a slogan, you stop questioning those who are holding up the banner. This is how evil wins. It hides inside our most valiant efforts. It makes you defend it with your dying breath. They don't just want your mind, your consent. They want your rage, your grief, and your heart. And if they get it, they'll turn you into the very evil you think you're fighting against. This is not about saving the children anymore. It's about saving yourself from becoming the very thing you hate. Welcome to Opium Slayer. This one's going to be a doozy. Hello once again, guys. Episode 2 of Opium Slayer with Save the Children. Before we get into that, I just want to lighten the mood and set the premise for, I'm going to attempt to show you how everything I'm going to show you in this video could lead you to predict bullshit, basically, right? And I'm going to show you how I did it. But before we get to any of that, I realized that about halfway through the last episode, I started ripping a few people, right? Like Zerka, Matt Supplying, Gary the Numbered Guy, Stu Peters, and whoever else. And I did so without receipts, which is not typically my style. I didn't want to go straight into blasting people already, but here we are. So now I got to show you guys the receipts of everything I'm talking about. So I was talking about how controlled oppositions, when you dig deep enough, they're all governed by the same forces, right? And they all clout off each other, whether they're friends, former friends, or have always been enemies. So I was talking about this clown Zerka, right? The guy right here. This guy. He's like, he was big in the flat earth and a bunch of things for a couple of years now. But what's interesting is that, first of all, he's a little vaccinated loser. Just keep that in your back pocket. Second, he wears Mason attire everywhere. And most importantly of all, he's a pedo. He's been caught numerous times with women that are underage. And he has come back as, oh, well, in this country, this and that. Look, if you're going to go up a 14-year-old girl, I don't care what country you're in. It's not working. It's not going to happen. I don't accept that. So there's this guy. I'm just going to talk a little bit about him, then we'll laugh a bit, right? Here he is again. There's a video here, if you click on that, where he's groping a girl who, at the end of the video, we can see.
Don't pay attention.
Some of the Facebook posts where they're telling her happy birthday for this girl. And it's for her, I think it's her 14th birthday at this point, and that whole situation with Zerka happened the year prior. So anyways, not a good look at all, right? Here's some more on Zerka. Rosicrucian's cross, all of his tattoos, skull and bone symbolism, one eye. Here he is with Myron Gaines, who is another complete fraud, who's, like I said earlier, he's having loser simp men pay him money to teach them how to be an alpha male, which is hilarious considering he's not exactly an alpha from what I see here. It looks more like the one getting spooned. But anyways, that's another topic, right? And what's interesting is Myron Gaines just had Ian Carroll on his show. And I just went after and exposed Ian Carroll on my X account, and it went fairly well. I even got into engage 3-4 times. But just to show you how all these guys are connected, search Carroll, the name, in Jesuit, and you'll see that it comes from a long line of Jesuits. All of these guys, whether they're friendly or foes, are all working to deceive us. Here's another little interesting thing. So Supertramp, Breakfast in America, their album, 9/11 predictive programming. Look right above the Twin Towers. This part right here mirrored is a 9/11. Orange juice for you know who, and this is a plane window. But there's back to what we were saying. Here's Gary, the guy he's having a feud with. I made this meme. I took the Miss Cleo ad and I added his dumb face to this. So these guys are going at it. You got to keep in mind that all these guys are initiated. They're all Kabbalists. Right here, if you see that, they're into animal torture and all kinds of strange things. Don Lucre is involved with this group. And mark my words, he's going to move to Florida to meet with Gary so they could continue their grift together. And I have a lot of story and background on these guys. And then again, if you write Don Lucre or his handle on my X profile, I've ripped this guy a new one plenty of times as well with, hundreds of thousands of views and comments that will keep you laughing for a long time. So I just want to show you how all of these guys, when you dig deep enough, are all part of the same fabric. A sick, perverted, degenerate fabric. And they all use their clout, their audience, as a mechanism to distract and confuse you, regardless of what they're telling you. Now look, Stu Peters, right? So Stu Peters had Gary on last week. And because Gary's an adamant defender of Jews and he hates Christian, he keeps talking about how Christian women are the most promiscuous and sweaty in the world. But what I told him is, yeah, well, wasn't your mother a Christian at the time she gave birth to you? Go tell him that. He's going to lose his mind on it. But anyway, so Stu Peters gave him a good one, which I have to give him credit to that. But again, Stu Peters is part of the same garbage. I've exposed the living daylights out of Stu Peters as well. I even went into an X space where I literally laid the smackdown. This is the post right here where somebody took that out. I laid the smackdown on all of these grifters. So we'll talk a little bit about Stu just to give you, I don't want to talk to everybody else. DUI champion beats his wife. He got a DUI as long as 2 months ago. And this guy's so dumb that he was so drunk, I would say, that he took a video of himself driving and posted it on X and deleted it 2 minutes later, which I caught and recorded. But a little bit about Stu, just to give you some background. Here's all his DUIs, his wife beating, how he lied about his name being, I remember, Coleman Hughes. He went under the alias of Coleman Hughes for at least a year or two, and he used that name to lie to Governor Ventura to get to sleep in the guy's house for 2 months without paying for it. I don't know what the hell was going on in a governor's mansion. I don't want to know. This is when he was starting his rap career as Focus. Here he is on his wedding day. And if you look at his mom's name, Sherry Mickelberg, that's quite nosy of a name, if you get what I'm saying. So here's him driving. I told you I had that somewhere. And so I ripped these guys. And again, Myron Gaines, which is this clown over here, he's out chilling and kicking it with Ian Carroll. All these people, not all are part of the same crowd directly, but they're all interconnected with the lies and the distractions they sell. So if you guys go on my profile, my X profile, go here. Where's my profile? Go here on your phone specifically, not on your desktop, and write 2 years. Write, go get his X handle and write it there. Write Don Lucre. Write all of these people's names, and you will see absolute chaos. So just wanted to give you guys that backstory to show you how it all ties in. Um, yeah, I think I'm going to jump into saving the children now. Oh yeah, Mark Levin, Cuban, the last endorsement of the Donald Trump administration. They just, oh man, this guy is swampy as shit. Look at this Mark Levin dude. He's the one that said that Donald Trump is the first Jewish president. Mr. Black Eye over here. So these are the people we're dealing with, and like I said, they're all part of the same cult. The only thing that differentiates is which side of a cult's dichotomy they stand on. And we'll elaborate over that in the coming episodes, but let's see how Save the Children goes. It's not going to be an easy conversation, I'm telling you right now. And you guys are going to think I'm scum for a lot of things that I say, but if you're willing to look past that and use your minds and see how it's used to control you, I think we could all learn something. And that's the point of all this. So let's see how that goes. All right, guys. So let's get into it. Save the children. Let's talk pizza, save the children, and exposing these scumbags. What goes around, comments around. Now, what if everyone's dirty? The accused pedals at the heart of Pizzagate are obviously scum. There's no denying that. The defenders scrambling to dismiss it like conspiracy, like the CNN talking heads, they're pedals too. But here's the gut punch. What if the whistleblower gunman wasn't some rogue hero, but another pawn following orders? Or what about a triggered asset? What if the so-called good guys exposing Pizzagate are just as corrupt, complicit in the same degeneracy and depravity they claim to be fighting? Like, as I mentioned earlier, Liz Crokin or Liz Cockring, which we'll get into that another time. Now, do you understand what I'm trying to tell you guys? The entire system, from accusers, defenders, whistleblowers, the media, the eyewitnesses, the detectives, it's all a choreographed machine. All sides play their part, keeping you distracted and chasing shadows. Let me change slide here. They have you clinging to false hope, cheering for a win that'll never come. While these trafficking, the abuse, the puppet masters, they're completely untouched. It's business as usual for these guys. So, save the children. It's always felt a little off, right? But we're too busy caught up in the game trying to fight these pedal Satanist scumbags to notice anything. Many truthers started with genuine intentions driven by the desire to protect the innocent, myself as well, right? We all got in here for the children. But most don't realize that we've been funneled into a very carefully manufactured and designed trap, intentionally aiding the very system that we engaged to fight. So let's talk a little bit about Ghislaine Maxwell right here and Walt Disney doing a Save the Children funathon. What about all the heads of Save the Children in Guatemala, all around the world? Just go on Yandex, better than Google, and type in Save the Children and you know what, Ilya, or child this and that, and see what comes up. Have any of you ever looked into the founder of Save the Children? This lad right here, who I put a brontosaur on his head to symbolize something that is not necessarily apparent to rookie truthers. Why are these people weird? This person was a homosexual. Eglantine Jeb was gay. Facts. These are the people that created the entity of Save the Children. And don't get into all the workers and all the chaos that ensues with the workers. Give me a sec here. As I was saying about Liz Crokin, she's very good friends with Marissa Sullivan, which I also suggest you guys look into. They've been to many pizza parties together, as you can see. Cedar Sinai Pizza Party, Liz Crokin. All of these people are having pizza parties while seemingly exposing pizza parties to the common public. You know, this conversation is not going to be easy, and we're going to get into some difficult topics to swallow, but we need to rip it off like a bandage. Just hold tight with me. And at the end, I'm going to tie it in together on how we can actually use this, implement it into your day-to-day life to see through the complete bullshit, right? A little bit more on Liz before we do that. By the way, again, like I said with all these people, go on my profile on X, write Liz Crokin, write Liz Cockring, and get her X handle, which I don't remember what it is. It's probably Liz Crokin or at Liz Crokin, and put it on my page, and you will see all the back and forths I've had with her where I completely annihilate her. Liz Crokin is a Bush baby. And the reason why I'm talking about Liz primarily here is because Liz is the face of Save the Children. So if I could show you that the face of Save the Children within the conspiratorial movement and Pizzagate is anything but kosher, quote unquote, it'll get you thinking, right? Do you remember when she said the Hillary, what tapes exist and she was about to release them? That never happened. Never happened. Remember when she said that the kosher 19 shot was tainted with, some bullshit to counteract the adrenochrome supply. All lies, guys. And let's just not even get into that. Just read this right here. This is the kind of people that are leading our most noble fights, guys. Here with Lady Gaga, she says that Lady Gaga gave her the strength to move on with her life after her assault. Lady Gaga, of all people, this Lady Gaga that she herself has posted about pizza parties. Here she is with Dom Lucre. Just look at this photo right here and just look at the posture and just tell me, this is going to be crazy. Who gives off the man vibe? Who gives off the feminine vibe? And what does that mean? Here they are at a pizza party all together with his red shoes, Dom Lucre, the little Kabbalist midget weirdo, complete degen, who is the talking head of conservatives for whatever reason. I don't know how this all makes sense, but, here we are. So Liz Crokin, complete garbage. I'm not going to spend too much time more on her until the end of the video where I show how all this ties in. Where are we going to move with this picture? Mulberry's Street Pizzeria. I don't know if you guys know anything about that, but that's another Pizzagate Comet ping pong situation where all of these celebrities have taken, what kind of pictures with pizza over there. What's funny is that right over here we have, what's his name? The guy from the Dead Man Switch. Sorry about that. The guy from the Dead Man Switch, McAfee, which, by the way, Escanor, myself, is on the McAfee drop exposing Cat Turd for being a piece of garbage. So I'm on the McAfee drop, by the way, which is interesting to say the most. And I think he's human garbage as well. So that's another little rabbit hole you guys should look into, Mulberry Street Pizza, and how the other side of the arm of the people exposing are all part of that pizza cult. It's really strange when you start looking at it this way, right? So let's move on to the next. Well, this is going to be a bad one. I'm telling you right now. It's the rabbit hole that keeps on giving, right? To save the children. My problem with it is that it's used as a shield to shield the very evil that we've been trying to expose over the years, right? Anytime you question figures like Donald Trump, it somehow gets twisted into a direct attack on innocent children, abused and trafficked, innocent, harmless, beautiful children. Suddenly, you're the perpetrator because you won't buy into the narrative that there's a secret military sting operation saving children from tunnels that there's absolutely no evidence to back this up. And the people that are pushing the evidence or the posts that you see daily on all the social media platforms are all involved. They're all abusers to an extent or another, or have been abused at the very least. People fail to realize that, people know that Hollywood, television, everybody you see on TV is garbage. Everybody on TV is garbage. But they don't make that association to social media. They think that social media is its own organic, less controlled organism, which nothing could be further from the truth. There's way too much influence on social media for them to allow it to run amok into the hands of people like me, for example. That's just not going to happen under any circumstance, right? So let's talk about something a little bit crazy, right? So it takes a special kind of evil to manipulate people into using innocent children as shields, right? And in turn, it creates a visceral, automated, angered response. And, when I speak these words, it creates anger in the people that are listening to it. Or if I'm telling you that this whole thing is fake, they feel like I'm attacking the very children that I'm trying to protect in the first place, right? But let's keep things simple with a question. Would a loving creator use the innocence of children to deflect criticism? Does that sound like something God would do? Or, in turn, does it sound like something the devil would? Nothing rallies people to war against our controllers, at least in our parasites, like the call to action to protect our most innocent and defenseless. And it's true. Nothing feels more righteous. But if you're not directly taking action to save those children directly yourself, then you're just hiding behind fairy tales of a sting operation and secret saviors and all of these things that are simple excuses keeping you from taking the first step into a tangible action that is actually helping anyone. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're not saving anyone by posting a picture about adrenochrome or video or any of that. What you're doing is you're calcifying the trauma and opening up the readers to be in a position that's primed for mind control. You're actually part of the entire system. You think this is all crazy? Actually, this doesn't work anymore, and I'm going to show you that it hasn't worked in the last year, but up until a year ago, if you go on Facebook and you write chicken soup, you'll get this message. Child, you know what? You know what? Nobody ever knew why that was, but I'm going to explain to you why that was, and I'm going to also show you how they cover it up later, right? So, chicken soup for the soul. Where is the hidden language, right? We all know about pizza, pasta, walnut sauce, the typicals, right? Excuse me. But what about chicken soup? See, the thing is, in other languages, like Spanish, for example, how do you say chicken soup? Caldo de pollo. That's a C and a P. Child, you know what. So, chicken soup has always been a code word for movies involving children. And no one's the wiser. And all of these people that you think are exposing the system are using subsequent code words that are way above our heads to mock us while we think they're helping us with the pastas and the code words that the good old FBI gave us, right? We're going to get into something crazy next. Oh, but before that, let's talk about this picture a little bit. Here we have the new FBI, what's his name? What's his face? Dan Bongino, what a loser. This guy's supposed to release the Epstein list. He loves Israel more than Trump does. Under this guy's watch, he was the security detail for Obama. That's the night when $65,000 worth of hot dogs went into the White House under Mr. Bongino's nose. So I don't hear nothing about this guy's going to release anything. He's not doing none of that. So let's just clarify that from now. All right, this is going to be a bad one. Let's decode the language of child breads. The hidden meaning behind avocados, right? The word avocado seems innocent enough, a symbol of health. It's a beloved food, but it has a deeper meaning that unveils a very disturbing connection. Many of you are already aware of some of the pet code words the FBI has graced us with, right? Like hot dog, pizza, cheese, map, all of these. But what about avocado? What's up with that? Interestingly, the avocado, much like a human fetus, takes approximately 9 months to mature. This parallel has contributed to the world's symbolic association of infants and children with avocados. During pregnancy, a 16 or 18-year-old fetus is referred to as an avocado due to the shared shape and size. Etymologically speaking, the word avocado itself has unsettling roots derived from the ahaquatl. Sorry, it's very hard to say that, even though I understand Spanish and live in southern Mexico, which means testicle in an ancient, I believe it's Mayan or Aztec. So we're starting with the avocado connections. So what appears to be a harmless food has disturbingly become part of a covert language used by predators to disguise their communication. The next time you see an avocado symbolism linked to your favorite celebrity, take a closer look. You might uncover something more sinister, like why, if you search up celebrities and hurting themselves or injuring themselves while pitting avocados, why are they all injuring themselves when pitting avocados? That's something that I'm going to ask you guys to look into. So, this ties into, which I'm sure you guys have all seen, like maybe on Netflix, there's the whole avocado wars in South America with Guatemala. And that ties into, again, Ian Carroll that I was talking about earlier, and I will talk about a bit now too, who in 2011 went down there to help some less unfortunate children, and his second-degree connection, Brock Pierce, which is a childhood television star, billionaire through crypto, who is a total child chomo, was just in Guatemala now, spreading education and reform and all of the things that the Clinton Foundation typically does, right? So there's a lot of connections, and it's not going to get good, let's just say that, but let's carry on. Here we have my favorite sub-prime minister in the world, Trudeau. All right. What did I want to show you guys? All right. So if you go to Google or whatever and you write Facebook chicken soup censorship, you will see that I'm not lying about what I said, that in 2023 up until almost all of 2024, it was censored, but they don't actually tell you why. They don't want you to know that chicken soup is caldo de pollo, which is CP. They tell you some other BS. They don't want you to actually know the language. Nobody here will tell you what it actually means. And what's funny, even Snopes says that it's true. So then we know it's true, right? And a quick side story about Snope, that asshole that made it, Mickelson, or whatever his name is, total fraud, screwed tons of people. His wife that he started this with was a porn star, just, the usual disgusting people. Now, before I tie how everything I just told you can be used for you to understand what the hell's going on and predict it, I'm going to take it up a little level in the weirdness, right? So we're going to talk about the arch of hysteria, which most of you would know from Podesta's home, right? But there's a deeper meaning to all of this that most are not aware with. And the quote-unquote artist, Louis Bourgeois, if you look into his work, like, why is there what looks to be a kid arched in this person's midsection doing the same pose that one inhibits during a traumatic moment like sleep paralysis? These are questions, guys. So, some things are not symbolic. Some things are signatures, and the Arch of Hysteria is one of them. It's not art, it's ritual cast in bronze or gold or paint. A trauma pose, a human sacrifice fossilized mid-convulsion, a shrine to possession and mutilation, normalized by elites around the world, right? So this is art, and I'm just a dumbass that doesn't understand artist representation. I'm the sick one, right? But all this has much deeper roots than Podesta or Bourgeois. They go back much further. They go back into, we could start off with Jack the Ripper in the, late 1880s, where his victims, or their victims, hard to say, were laid in similar fashion. It's all ritual, guys. And just to double back on that, the primary suspect, Jacob Kosminski, can't remember his name, Jewish Kabbalist, openly, mysticism practices, all of that weird shit. He's my at least one suspect, but anyways, let's not diverge too much. So enter the Arch of Hysteria. Louis Bourgeois sculpts the Arch of Hysteria. He has a couple representations of this. If you go and you web search that, you'll see they're all, similar, but not, I would say. A headless, genderless male figure suspended in the air, mid-air, or on a plate, and always placed in a position of a possessed corpse. The same pose that Dahmer dismembered his victims and placed them in. The same spasms seen in hysterics, in ritual trances, in trauma responses, which goes back to my first video when I was talking about the blame game and how, they take you down certain rabbit holes simply for the trauma response on you. So this all ties into a thought process that I'm trying to convey to you guys. And I understand that it's very difficult to grasp and may seem super strange, obviously, but I assure you, just follow along and you'll see that things will start making sense. I don't mean that I'm right, but what I can tell you is that I identify bullshit like nobody's business. So I can't tell you that I'm right about certain things, but I can tell you what you're wrong about, and that I'm confident in. So, we have the Podestas, a Clinton operative basically parading this stuff around in their house. We have Abramovich cooking this stuff up. And, it's all thrown up as art once again. And we're the low IQ peasants who don't seem to understand it all. In the ancient mystery schools, from the Dionysian cults to Eleusinian, pain and madness were seen as gateways into the other world, or gateways to connect with otherworldly entities. The Dionysian cults tore victims in one of the rituals called sparagmos, but you'll write it better, sparagmos. The Eleusinian cults initiated themselves through replicating a trip into the underworld by death and rebirth, like Aphrodite did. And they do this through Christing themselves with hallucinogenic drugs. That's another topic that we're going to get into, and that's going to be even much harder one than this one, but it might be the next video. We'll see how that goes, because my plan is I want the next video to destroy things that all of you are certain about, just to show you that everything we're told is a lie. even the solutions to everything represented. And once I can crack that nut open, I think you can have a more honest and straightforward conversation without having to beat around the bush. But anyways, back to this madness over here. These assholes. You know, so we started with the ancient mystery cults, Eleusinian mysteries, how they use states similar to the Arch of Hysteria to invoke spiritual revelations, I guess is a word I would pick for that. And if you fast forward into the future, there's Freud's hysteria, which speaks about this specifically. Then we have bourgeois' obsession with psychoanalysis and trauma, which ties into Freud as well. All of these people are talking about the same dogma, same religion, same pathways to the same energies and religions and mysteries through different avenues. It's all the same, just very different in application. You know, Jack the Ripper, Dahmer, Bourgeois, Podesta, Abramovich, the WEF funds trauma art. Hollywood reenacts it, and you're told to applaud it. You know, it's not aesthetics, it's not beauty, it's programming. And it's not coincidence, it's continuity. It's not about one killer, one sculptor, one artist, one asshole, one politician, one family. It's not about any of that. It's about a death cult with ancient roots that are now draped in progress art, dripping with blood, and obsessed with transforming suffering into spectacle. That's what the Arch of Hysteria, the monument of this idea, represents. Now, what the hell was I talking about, and why does any of this matter, right? And how can you apply any of this crazy madness that I just showed you? Avocados, you know, all these things. So just the other day I think it's here. Hold on. Oh, this is Ian Carroll. We'll get to that, I think, soon, but hold on. That's going to be a good one, too. All right. So April 1st, which should have been an indicator in of itself, guys, like Jesus Christ. The Epstein victim, Virginia, she died, guys. Remember that? She died on April 1st. Everybody's crying. Everybody's weeping. Guess who pushed this story initially? You guessed it. Liz Crokin. I knew it was bullshit. Straight out the bat, I knew it was bullshit just because of that. And you look at the picture, you know, she has her jewelry on. This thing's connected to nothing. You know, there's no commotion in the background. This is a complete fabricated bullshit story. And when it happened, and by the way, I got tons of hell for this post. How could you say these things? Somebody died. Epstein's going to get away. You're a monster. You know, the usual crap that I hear. And what's funny is I wrote this post within 3 hours. I got justified because it came out that, she released a statement, you know, I'm sorry. I didn't get hit by a bus. It was all, you know, some kind of mistake. God knows how the hell you can make a mistake like that, right? So I laughed, but I also told people, hey guys, do you see what's going on here? They're desensitizing you to the fact that your silver bullet for the Epstein case will go away. And they're trying to gauge your response, and they're trying to minimize the fall. They're trying to control your demoralization and your despair to feed you that savior narrative. And what happened on April 25th, guys? 24 days later, she died. Or did she? Or was she dead from the beginning? Or whatever version of whatever happened, this whole thing was a scam to desensitize you, to demoralize you, and to wave the carrot of the Epstein indictments and arrests to lure you deeper into the trauma, into despair, and to use that against you. And because of everything that I told you today, I was able to see through this bullshit instantaneously. for whatever that is worth. So I hope that has helped. It's very hard to tie all this all together. Obviously, guys, I'm doing the best I can. And I'll end with this. I'm not going to talk too much. I want you to go into it, but here's my post where I get into Ian Carroll. I'll go through it real quick so you guys can pause and read it, and you'll see that I nail him from a real macro level to the point where I think what I said was so masterful. Hold on, I'll just pass this in. I think it was so masterful that I forced him to respond at least twice. He even retweeted me and had to go into a whole, the usual. They go into the mode of, they play it off like I'm crazy, or, they answer. That's another thing we're going to get into slowly but slowly. But when I expose people, I always give them an in to be able to respond to me. Always give them an in. You don't want to have a cold case, a case that's so rock solid and tight that they know they can't tell you nothing. You want to give them an out, to get them to engage. Number two, most importantly, you never go out with your silver bullet first. You always save the silver bullet for when they engage and talk stupid to you. That's a pro tip right there that has made me destroy people. So here's where Ian retweeted me and all of that. And if you guys see, these are really funny memes that I made, by the way. Palantir, Rothschild connection. This guy doesn't talk about the Rothschild connection to Palantir. Anyways. The Mrs. Caucus, which I exposed as well. They came after me in this post and I ripped them a new one as well. It's in the comments. And here's his Guatemala trip in 2011. And now Brock Pierce is there right now, which is 1 degree away from everybody that he hosts his podcast with. That's what I told Ian, basically, right? It's like, how many pedals are you going to have within your first and second degree circle before it starts to matter, dude? You can't deny this shit forever. You can't have all of these people around you and they're all, this guy's next to Trudeau, this guy's next to Brock Pierce. They're all 1 degree away from human scum at all times around you. And to solidify this point is, he just had a talk with Nicole Shanahan trying to get Jack Dorsey to do a show to talk about, I think they were going to talk about IP, right? Intellectual property. Where Ian's getting paid for that, of course. But, I don't know how much money I would need to be paid to be in the same room with Jack effing Dorsey and not talk to him or ask him about his G-damn tweet about enjoying the good pasta while reading the satanic verses. So you could call me crazy. You could say I'm a shill and I'm just shitting on these people, but read my material on them to give you a macro understanding of how they're messing with all of us. And subsequently to this clown, Ashton Forbes, which is, he's grifting off the Malaysia disappearing flight and supposed free energy devices that he's grifted off other people. This simp loser came to defend Ian 3 separate occasions. And I told him, look, because you're simping like a clown, I went into him and I exposed him. And read into that. And that'll, again, show you how these people laugh and how they cover up, how they laugh, how they lie, and how they cover up their lies, and how they infight within each other to solidify bullshit. And, I don't want to get into that because it's a long, tedious, I'm not going to read all these threads, but I'm telling you, if you want to learn to do this, you're going to have to do this. There's no way around that. So is there anything else I wanted to talk about? Yeah, last thing. Let's just change the subject. This this authentic image of Jesuit Donald Trump at the Academy got people tripping always. Look at this shit. This is an authentic image. When I created this, I know people are shallow and dumb, but I was really surprised with this one. Everybody, you show them an image, they're always running to Grok. Hey, Grok, tell me if I'm a retard. Is this real? Blah, blah, blah. So these people are doing that, and I'm reading for them what Grok is telling them. And Grok's literally telling them, hey, the image in the upper right corner is a fake image of an eye, of a reptilian eye. And these people associate that to Donald Trump. It's hilarious, the disassociation, They're too dumb to process reality. Look, this picture is authentic, guys, and so is this one. Cope harder. I found it. You guys can find it. And if you guys want to trip even more so, we'll go into that real quick. Here's a thread I did a couple years ago about Donald Trump's Damien Thorne connections, which is a complete other topic altogether. But, you know, Damien, Donald, Thorne, Trump, their grandmothers, their uncles, their pictures, their logos. They inherited their companies from their moms. There's all kinds of weird, strange connections with Donald Trump and Damien Thorne, which we'll get into that at some point as well, but that's a whole cluster in of itself, right? So let me just take a second to see if I forgot anything that mattered, which I probably did, but this video is way longer than I wanted. Yeah, I think we're good. Anyways, guys, what to say, right? One episode at a time. We'll build the framework. I'll give you guys the pointers, how I see things. You don't have to take them verbatim or believe them, but just entertain what I'm telling you. And you'll see when we get, a couple steps in, I think you'll get some kind of a revelation on how to spot the bullshit much quicker. So until then, I'll catch you guys later.